Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you another new project. I built a DIY digital media library using Raspberry Pi, RC522 RFID reader and Google Chromecast attached to my television. These are all the RFID cards that represent a particular media, such as this RFID card is representing our audio playlist. This one will play a video from my local hard disk, okay. And this one will play an YouTube video. So how this device will work, if I took this RFID card and if I touch this RFID card into this reader, you can see the media will start play into my Chromecast device. And I will have this controller in my mobile device that I can use to control the Chromecast, such as I can increase or decrease volume like this. So you can see the volume is increased or decreased there. I can play or pause the media, okay. And even I can go to next media file, like if I press next, you can see that media file has changed. Okay, so this way you can control your Chromecast using this media controller from your mobile device. Now if I want to play a media file from my local hard drive, which represented by this RFID card, I will simply touch it here and you can see the media it start playing in the Chromecast device. And you can see the status here in the controller that this is the name of the file and it is currently playing. I can pause it by pressing this. So you can see it is paused and the status is paused. So this way you can control your Chromecast device. Similarly, if I want to, let me close this first. So once you closed this, it will close the whole application from the Chromecast. Now let's play a video from YouTube. So this is the card which will play a video from YouTube. So if I touch this card here, so you can see the YouTube app will open and it will start playing a video from YouTube. And you can also see that this is the file that I'm playing from YouTube. Currently it is buffering. And once it starts playing in the Chromecast here, you can see the status is playing. So let me stop the video. This way I can use RFID cards to play all my favorite medias like songs, videos from the local drive or the YouTube video directly to my television using Chromecast. So I will just take the card and I will touch the card into this device so it will play that media to the Chromecast. So let's get started and build this device. These are the components I used for this project. I used a Raspberry Pi 0W. You can use any other version of the Raspberry Pi. I used a RC522 RFID card reader along with some RFID cards. I used one 16 GB micro SD card for loading the Raspbian image and also the Chromecast, Google Chromecast attached to a television. This is the hardware schematic of the device, where I have used Raspberry Pi 0W and RC522 RFID reader. The SDA pin of RFID reader is connected with pin number 24 of Raspberry Pi, the SCK with pin number 23, MOSI with 19, MISO with 21, IRQ is not connected, it's not been used. The ground pin is connected with pin number 20 of Raspberry Pi, reset with 22, and VCC we are supplying 3.3 volt which is from pin number 17 of Raspberry Pi. So this is the hardware schematic. Now let's go for the software configuration. First, I am preparing the SD card with latest Raspbian image. So I open the Raspberry Pi imager and I select the latest Raspbian image. The light version is enough here, and choosing the SD card and click on write to write the SD card with the Raspbian image. After installing the Raspbian OS, we have to connect the Raspberry Pi using SSH, and then we will update and upgrade the Raspbian OS. After upgrading the OS, we will install nodered on Raspberry Pi. To do that, we can go to the website nodered.org and we can find the link to install the nodered on Raspberry Pi. We just simply need to copy this link and then we have to paste it here in the shell command. So now this will install the nodered on Raspberry Pi. This will take a while, so we have to wait, and wherever required we have to press Y and enter. After installing nodered, we have to configure the nodered as an auto startup program. To do that, we have to simply type sudo systemctl enable nodered.service. So this will configure the nodered as an auto startup program. So whenever we will reboot the Raspberry Pi, so nodered will be automatically started in the background. Next, we will install a web server. So the web server is required here to open any media file as a web URL. You can use any web server that are available today, but here in this project I used Apache Web Server. To install Apache Web Server on Raspberry Pi, simply type sudo apt install apache 2 -y. So this will install Apache Web Server on Raspberry Pi. After installation of Apache Web Server, we have to provide the full permission to the web server base directory. So by default, the Apache Web Server base directory is var www/html. So we have to provide the full permission using chmod command. Chmod -r 7 var www ht So now we can put any file or the media file under this directory what we want to load as a web URL. Now we will create two folders under the web server base directories. So first we will go to the web server base directory. Now here first we will create the folder named audio playlist sudo kdir. So under the audio playlist, we will put all the MP3 files, and under the video directory, we will copy all the MP4 video files. Next, we will create a mapping.csv file under home/py directory. So let's go to home/py directory, and under this directory, we will create a file named mapping.csv. sudo nano mapping.csv. This file contains the mapping between the RFID card details and the corresponding media details. So let's give you some examples. So I have already prepared some sample data. So as you can see, this mapping file contains ID and the link. So this is the ID of the RFID card, and then followed by an equal to sign, and then this contains the media details. The first media item is the type of the media, whether it is an audio or video, followed by a comma. Then you have to put the media name. So in case of the MP3 files, we have to provide the name of the directories. So under which directory we will copy all the MP3 files. And for the videos, we have to put the name of the MP4 files like this. And as this project also support the YouTube video, so for YouTube video to play on the Chromecast, we have to provide the video ID for each YouTube video. Also, for any new entries, you have to follow the same format. So for any new card, you have to first put the card ID here, and then you have to put an equal to sign, and then you have to put the media type here, followed by a comma, and then you have to put whether it is a local video files. In case of local video files, you have to put the name of the MP4 files for video, and in case of the audio, you have to provide the audio playlist directory, and in case of the YouTube videos, you have to put the YouTube video ID. So once done with this file modification, save and close this. Next, we will create a bash script. This bash script will be used to list down all the MP3 files from a given directory. So the content of the bash script you can find in the GitHub page of this project. I will put this GitHub link in the video description. So in the GitHub page, you have to open this .sh file, and you copy the content of this file and simply paste it in the exe.sh. Save and close this. This exec.sh file we will be calling from the nodered program. Next and the last step is to configure nodered to achieve our goal. So before we configure the nodered, it's better to restart the Raspberry Pi once. So let's do a restart. So after the restart, we will open the nodered in the browser and we will configure our project. Now the server has been restarted. Let's open the nodered admin console on the web browser. This is the IP address of my Raspberry Pi, followed by the port for nodered admin console 1880. By default, nodered comes with many default nodes. But for this project, we have to install some extra nodes for Chromecast device and RFID. So for installing the nodes, go to the Manage palette, click on the Install tab, and then start installing the nodes. First, I will install node for Chromecast, Cast v2. So click on this install button, we'll simply install the node for nodered. Next, we will install simplecast, another node for Chromecast device. After installing simplecast, we will install RC522 for RFID reader. Now this is done, and lastly we will install nodered dashboard. Okay, so it is done. So far we have installed all the necessary nodes for our project. Okay, after the installation of the packages, you can find all the nodes appeared in the left hand side of nodered admin console. For example, the simplecast node that we have installed, RC522 for RFID reader, Cast v2, the second node for Chromecast device, and the dashboard nodes for nodered dashboards. So we will be using all these nodes in our project. I have already developed the nodered code. What you need to do is just to import the code in your nodered admin console. To do that, go to my GitHub repository page. Under this digital media library project, you will find one file named noderedcode.json. Open this file, copy the whole content of this JSON file, go to the nodered admin console, click in the right hand side, click on import, paste the whole content here. After this, click on import and import copy. This will import one flow with 33 nodes. Once the import is successful, you will find one flow has been appeared here, which has the entire project. Let me explain how I developed this flow. So the first node, the RC522, is an RFID reader node, which gets the card details from the RFID card and then pass the details to the next node. So once we touch the card, this RC522 node gets the details of the card and it passes to the next function node. This function node is actually extracting the card ID and pass it to the next node. These two nodes are actually reading the mapping.csv file and get its content. And then we are joining two payloads through this join function. After that, this function is actually checking whether the card ID exists in the mapping.csv file or not. If it finds any match, then it passes the request to the format checker node. In the format checking node, it checks what is the format of the media, whether it's an audio, video, or YouTube. So based on that, it passes the request to the next respective node. If the media type is audio, then we are passing the directory name from the card details. Okay, so the directory under which we have all the MP3 files. Then we are calling these executable nodes, which calls the executable.sh file that we have prepared earlier to get the list of all MP3 file names. And then we are calling this function to prepare the payload for Chromecast device. The payload contains the list of all MP3 file names as a web URL, and the payload contains the other parameters like application, which is the default media receiver, and the type is a media. So once this payload has been done, then we are pushing that payload to the Chromecast device. Here you have to make the changes according to your configuration. So this is the IP address of the Chromecast device. So this is the IP address for my Chromecast device. So you have to change this IP address accordingly. So once the payload has been pushed to the Chromecast device, it will start playing on your television where the Chromecast is attached. Similarly, if the media type is video, then from the card we will get the name of the video, which is an MP4 file, and the format checker pass the request to this particular function. This function is preparing the payload for the Chromecast device. Now the content of the payload is the name of the file as a web URL. Okay, and as you can see, all the MP4 files are copied under this video directory that we have created under the var/www/html. So once this payload has been prepared, then we will push this payload to the Chromecast device and the Chromecast will start playing this video on your television. And similarly, for the YouTube, we are passing the video ID from the card and we are preparing the payload and we are pushing the payload to the Chromecast device. This way, we are playing all different types of media in our Chromecast attached device by just touching the RFID card. Now once we are playing the media into the Chromecast, okay, so we've also built an app to control this Chromecast device. So I have used two Chromecast nodes, as you can see here. All the blue colors nodes are representing the Chromecast. So this particular node I have used for playing media onto the Chromecast. And this simplecast node that I have used to control the Chromecast, because this particular node has the better capability than the cast v2 for controlling the Chromecast. So here you can see, once we played a media onto our Chromecast, I'm sending the output to a dashboard node. Okay, so this output contains what media files are getting played in the Chromecast and what is the current status. If sometimes the Chromecast buffered or play, pause, it change its states. So whenever Chromecast change its states, all the states will be appeared into the dashboard node. Here you can see I have used some dashboard nodes for controlling the Chromecast device, like volume controller, play, pause button, forward and rewind for 5 seconds, playing next or previous media. So all these nodes are sending the signals to both the Chromecast devices for controlling the Chromecast. So that means you can play any media file by just touching the RFID card onto the reader, and at the very same time you can use your mobile or the laptop device to control the Chromecast through the nodered dashboard opened in the web browser. Now the last step that you have to perform is to deploy the flow into your nodered. Before you deploy, please check that in both the casting node that you have changed the IP address of your Chromecast device. So once done, then you simply deploy the whole flow. The Chromecast IP address you can find from your router admin console. So now after the deploy, your project is ready. You can also open the browser and enter the URL of the nodered dashboard, which is the IP address of the Raspberry Pi followed by the port number /UI. So you can find the Chromecast controller dashboard, where you can find the stop casting, close, play, pause, and then the forward, backward, and the previous and next media file. Even you can find the status. Okay. Last thing that you need to do, copy all your media files under the web server directory. Like I copied all the MP3 files under the audio_playlist directory that we have created under the web server base directory. Similarly, I copied one MP4 video file under the video directory. This is how I mapped the RFID cards with the media files. I took one RFID card for playing audio playlist, which represents this audio_playlist directory. One RFID card for playing the MP4 video files. And I took another one for playing YouTube video. So this is the URL of the YouTube video, and this highlighted section is the video ID that you can find in the mapping.csv. You can get the RFID card ID from the nodered admin console. If you open this project, after deploy, if you take one RFID card and touch it to the RFID reader, you can see it will display the RFID card ID under the RC522 nodes. This RFID card ID you need in the mapping.csv file. Now enjoy and play all your media files to the Chromecast device using RFID card. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can extend this project with many other features and components. You can find all the details about this project and the GitHub link in the video description. Please share your thoughts with the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.